Hi, and welcome to another episode. I'm so happy today to be joined by my very good friends and fellow divorce financial planners, a lovely Ceri Griffiths and Lottie Kent. How are you doing, ladies?
Amazing, thank you.
How are you doing, Lottie?
Fantastic, as always. A little bit toasty, but all good.
Awesome. That's fab. So I'm going to start by asking you each to introduce yourselves so that our lovely audience know who is talking to them today. So Ceri, tell us a bit about you.
So I'm Ceri. My company is Willowbrook Lifestyle Financial Planning, and I give the financial advice exclusively to women divorcing CEOs. So I have a real specialism, and that's linked to my passion, which is all about removing financial vulnerability and disadvantage for those women. And that's kind of what I'm all about.
Amazing. Fab. And Lottie.
So, hello, my name is Lottie Kent. I'm a chartered financial planner and a resolution accredited divorce specialist. And we help at every stage of the divorce process, pre, during, and thereafter. And our vision and our mission really is to see a world where no woman feels worried about their finances when faced with divorce.
Fantastic. I kind of feel like I need to introduce myself just in case anybody isn't aware of what I do. So I'm Tamsin Caine. I'm a resolution accredited financial planner and a chartered financial planner as well. I don't just work with women, I work with men as well, and sometimes work with couples too. But I do tend to work with the less financially educated of the couple. So the person who's not looked after the money normally tends to be my client. And that leads to me having dealt with people who've come out of abusive relationships and so on as well. Which I never thought I would do, but seems to be the way my work has gone. Our plan is to try and help people to achieve a divorce financial settlement without having to go to court, although it's not always possible. So today, ladies, we're going to be talking about what happens after divorce as far as the money is concerned. So I'm so glad that we're ending series 5 of the Smart Divorce podcast in this way, because I think it's going to be a brilliant way to finish it. So we're going to be talking about where we come in and what we do. So, Ceri, do you want to start off by talking through what happens when, so that the client has applied, or the couple have applied for their financial consent order, their pension sharing order, their lump sum orders. What happens when they receive those orders and they either the final order or the decree absolute, depending on when they applied for their divorce? So what happens then?
In terms of what I do with them, is that what you mean, Tamsin?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you meant legally then. I was like, I can tell you what
No.
happens. Fair enough, but is that what you want? So when I work with clients, we have kind of distinct periods and actions in those periods. So during the period where we're leading up to those things being created, I have a process that ends with a section called Evolve. And during Evolve, the work that I'm doing is very much around filling in and making sure clients are ready to make investment decisions. So my clients may not, and typically haven't been money manager in their relationship and haven't made long-term financial choices and decisions. And so we spend quite a bit of time talking about why investing makes sense, what risk is all about, how charges work on investments, and an education piece around that. So what that means is by the time that the orders are in place and we're ready to move ahead, my client is in a really informed and educated place. We will have created a financial plan as part of the work we've done. So there'll be a cash flow forecast, and we will already know what we need the money to do, how we need it to perform, and she will understand what her choices are so that she's ready to make those decisions. So what we would be doing at the point that the orders come through is talking about recommendations that I would be making for the specific products that are going to make her plan come to life. And that might be that I might be talking to her about retirement account. It might be that we might be talking about an annuity. We might be talking about investments that are going to give an income, and we would be talking about those products, and I would be talking through how they would work for my client, why I'd be recommending them, so that she can make that decision. So that would be the very first thing we do. And then I suppose the next question you're going to ask in a minute, Tamsin, is what I do afterwards. But that would be orders there, give them the actual financial advice so that they can then go ahead and get those products in place.
Brilliant. Thank you. Lottie, I assume that kind of your process is fairly similar. How do you, so I want to kind of rewind a little bit. In how do you get your clients to think about what their post-divorce life looks like? Because actually that's kind of something that's quite difficult, I think, for clients to start thinking about, because in their head they're all still wrapped up in the divorce, and they're still wrapped up in the kind of emotion of it, and also the kind of job of actually getting divorced.
That's a really good question. And I think something that, as you rightly say, a lot of clients really, really struggle with. And we actually send clients an objectives for your future form, which basically really help. It asks the right questions, I suppose, or triggers them to then really kind of drill down on what they actually want for their future. And what I would say is we're very much as you know, it's very tragic, and it's been a horrendous and a very challenging time what clients have been through. It's really kind of empowering ladies and men to on the other side of that and saying, you know, it's the start of your new life. It's not the end of, obviously the divorce is an end of a period of your life, but this really is a phase, the next phase of your life, and the start of the new phase. So the sort of questions that we're asking are sort of retirement, what age they're thinking of retiring, whether their income will change, or whether they go back to work, or whether they stay as a house person potentially, or whether their income might potentially increase, and options for if for example, I'm not saying I'm a careers advisor here, but sometimes we end up doing all sorts of, or covering all sorts of things doing what we do. But it might be a case that they might say, well, I really fancy just doing something to, earn a little bit of money. They might want to be a yoga teacher. Do you know what I mean? It's all these things, and actually really thinking about what sort of holidays they would like. And a lot of clients find that really, really hard. And what they want things to look like from it. Do they want to potentially, move to a different house? All these sort of questions. And I think when clients with regard, do they want to travel in retirement? Just asking all of these questions and just having a conversation and thinking, what do they want things to look like in the future? But one thing that I do say to clients, if they're really, really struggling, is think about what the standard of living, or what they've done as a family, and really think, actually, well, this is what we have done, and this is what it cost us, and this is what what I want to maintain. So they might go to on holiday to the Caribbean every year, or go skiing every year. And if that person wants to maintain that standard of living, then it's important that that's taken into consideration. I suppose the thing is, from our side of things, and I'm sure we are all the same here, it's very much a case of really finding out the personal objectives, and then it's down to us to do the legwork, to do the planning and the structure to ensure that that client can then achieve their long-term objectives, well, both now and in the future as well, really.
Yeah, no, totally. Do you have clients who in the kind of initial period straight from divorce have kind of one idea of what they might like life to look like, but as time progresses and you work with them kind of moving forwards, actually they're, because of their kind of mind is a bit freer from the divorce, actually after a couple of years, for example, they start thinking more, their minds start opening, their ideas start getting bigger. Do you experience things like that with clients?
Ceri, after you.
I thought you were talking
sorry.
You're looking at but yeah, I 100% see that. I think even Tamsin, during the process of divorce, that evolvement happens. You see clients who, there's definitely a tipping point where it moves from kind of the stress and the panic of what's happening in real time. And there's a point at which they can start to really see the life that they want to live. With some coaching and with the right questions and kind of picture that. And then I definitely see my clients, when they step into that life, see things evolve and do things differently, which is the importance of then our annual planning and our regular reviews, because what we might set out as what they were going to do and where they were going to live and what their roles were going to look like in work can really change. So yeah, I've had quite a few clients with that. And so like I had one this morning actually, who, the planning that you were talking about there, Lottie, we very much do, don't we? Like at the front end of things, and then we work out how much of the settlement and the figures should look like, so that they, in that discussion with their lawyers, they have that sense check. And my client this morning has now got her settlement, so exactly the position you're talking about, Tamsin. And all the way through, I'm having the house, I'm having the house, I'm having the house. And today she's got the money in her account, and she's like, I don't know if I want the house. And it's like, okay, let's explore that now then. Okay, so the house was a security thing for her. Physically getting it meant he couldn't spend the money, and now she has it. She's like, I don't know if I want to live here. And so we're just exploring that. What if she moves? And there are things that financially she hasn't thought through. For example, stamp duty, moving costs, a house that she would move to, and financially, does it make sense to actually do it? We're just kind of doing that kind of benefit versus the cost of it analysis. And yeah, I think you see that happen. Our clients, you know, their lives evolve and they continue to do exciting and amazing things. And we are just with them there, adapting plans and talking about how the money works so that they don't have that fear of running out.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you had similar experiences, Lottie, with your clients?
100%. I think one of the most excuse me, sorry, I've just kicked something. One of the most rewarding things about what we do, or I find anyway, is seeing the transformation of this very often shell-like human being who is so scared and worried about the future, and then you can act as their friend, their guide, their partner, whatever you want to call it, and you see this transformation into this new human being. And often you can actually physically see it, you know, and it's often, some of these cases obviously go on for a very long period of time, and then that continues as you start working with them on an ongoing basis and providing that ongoing support. And I think it's just really, and reiterating what Ceri said there about kind of ongoing service and providing, you know, to us, our job doesn't stop once, you know, the investments are structured and all that sort of thing. Like, people's plans change and they might want to go and, you know, live in India and do, or Nepal and do meditation for the rest of their life or whatever, you know. And I just think we are the facilitators, and we allow clients to do that. But it's so important that if clients are able to say, right, well, this is what I want, this is what I want to achieve, and we are then able to kind of implement that for them and keep on track with them. And the other thing I would say, though, is I think often when clients haven't necessarily dealt with the finances themselves, and especially with clients that we potentially are all kind of specialists in, and looking at the slightly more vulnerable or less financial savvy party, it's really important that if that client isn't working and they're almost accumulating the settlement, that actually that's even more important for ongoing service and support. Because if a client then, say for example, they had their ongoing needs were £50,000 a year or whatever the case may be, and actually then they're actually spending 80, then our plan and what they're doing is very, very different. And that's why it's so important to keep on track with, you know, ongoing reviews and things like that, to make sure that that client is never going to kind of have that fear of running out of money, basically.
Can I just say on that point as well, I think it's the opposite is really important, that our clients are empowered to spend, because the fear of running out of money can limit how much clients feel comfortable with. And the aim isn't to end this life with all this money accumulated in the bank for the vast majority of clients. And I think a lot of what we do is give people the freedom to live really great lives without that fear, so that they can actually go out there and have, you know, have the life that they have often missed throughout their marriage, which, you know, for many of my clients is the case, and now start to properly live.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
totally agree with both of you there. I think that it's living the life you really want to live, not being fearful of running out of money, but then also having somebody monitor it so that you're aware that you're not madly overspending as well. It's like we're the accountability partner in some respects for that.
Sense check.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like, is this life that I'd really love to live? Is that actually really doable? And you know, you talked before, Ceri, about the technical work that we do in terms of products and so on, but actually a large part of what we do is providing the visual aid so that they can see, this is what your future life might look like. This is how your money ebbs and flows in your pot, and this is how, if you carry on living the life that you're living now in the way that you want to live it, this is how that will look. And you know, if there are surpluses, absolutely encouraging them to spend it. I had a client, they're not actually divorced clients, in this morning, who was talking to it. They were like, well, we're making more income this year than we planned to. It was like, you already had surplus. And they were like, oh yeah, what should we do with it? We're quite enjoying going away for weekends. It's like, go away for more weekends then.
Yeah.
Like,
Live.
100%.
Spend the money.
Yeah, somebody once said to me, and I say this to clients very, very often. Well, a couple of things. First of all, you want to have. I say to clients, I wish I had a crystal ball, because by the time you pass away, we want this to be zero.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we don't have a crystal ball. But the other thing is what you don't want is to be flying Ryanair yourself and you're sending your children BA first class. So you really need to. It's that fine balance, as is the case with a lot of things in life. But it's really, and I think going back to what Ceri was saying, that giving people that confidence to actually we all do the kind of visualize the planning via kind of visual means, and I think the cash flow modeling, and I think it just means that clients have the confidence, whether they need to rein in their spending or whether they need to spend more. It really gives them a realistic picture and helps them and gives them that confidence, really, and removes that fear.
I think what it also does, which is really powerful, is it gives them the freedom to give to their children and see them enjoy it now rather than wait for. And how much more enjoyable is that? If your children are going to go first class, go with them and actually enjoy being with them rather than them do it when you're gone. And I think the way that our planning works, the way that we all use the Visualise software to actually help our clients see how their cash flow is going to ebb and flow, it means that we can see points at which they can share money. It means that we can plan and, think about some of the tacky things like the inheritance tax and how we're going to mitigate that and the steps that we're going to take to do that. So that's quite a big part of what I do post divorce, is actually sit with my clients and say, okay, what do you want to give to your children and when, and do you want to do it post, or do you want to actually enjoy them having it?
Yeah, talking about legacy is a really important part of what we all do, isn't it? It's all of that. What do you want all of your post divorce life to look like, not just that first couple of years? And I think that it can be quite difficult. I don't know if you guys have found this as well, but to get people to think much further than a couple of years in hence. So especially when they've been through such a dramatic life change, to kind of go, we need, like, can you start thinking about what life might look like even further than sort of 2 years in advance, even further than when the kids leave school, and what's in your head when you think about what retirement looks like. What if you picture yourself in retirement, what does that look like? And and how can we make that happen for you so that it looks like that, and so that you can achieve it as soon as possible. Is that something that you've experienced with clients?
You know, you just give me a really good idea of something that we could each do. You know, like it would be really useful, I think, for clients to see case studies of what other people have done post-divorce. Like, what have their lives look like? What do their retirements look like? I think clients would probably like that anonymously.
Absolutely.
But, you know, kind of, it can be hard sometimes to picture retirement because you can't think of what your retirement could look like. And I know so many different ways that your retirement could look. That might be really useful. But yeah, in answer, yes, it is tricky, isn't it, Lottie? It's tricky to kind of picture that post life. And I think one of the key things that I do with clients is very much use coaching skills and coaching techniques to get clients to actually be in a place looking backwards. So let's put you in age 65, and what will you have achieved, and what will you have experienced, and what regrets might you have, what if you haven't done something at that point, what might that actually feel like?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Have you got any examples of clients who've done, I don't know, things that that our listeners might not have thought of, Lottie?
That's a good question. But no, not necessarily. A lot of my clients actually sometimes will end up getting and start doing a new job, for example, purely because they want that element of purpose, and something quite rewarding. So an example is kind of becoming a yoga teacher, and the other thing that I was going to mention based on the retirement side of this, and this applies to divorced clients and also non-divorced clients as well, but I think there is an element of retirement isn't just about money, it's about mindset as well. And I think a lot of people struggle with that transition from and having that sense of purpose and role when you're in your working life, and then all of a sudden you get to X age, say 60 for example, and you stop working and everything changes. And I think a lot of work does need to be done, and I see it a lot with clients and almost coaching to clients about, you know, saying, right, well, with the financial side of it's absolutely fine, but, you know, mentally, are you prepared for retirement as well? And I think that takes a lot of work from that side of things. But in answer to your question, I haven't had any crazy stories with clients with regards to, you know, them actually going to Nepal and living in Nepal and, you know, meditating or whatever. To be fair, be quite good from a financial planning point of view, because Nepal is very, very cheap. So but yeah, the money would last longer. But yeah, no, I haven't had any crazy stories.
To be honest, I can see us all there. Living like our retirements out there, 100%. Sounds great.
I think you're right about the purpose thing, Lottie, about clients sort of needing to find a job or a career or some sort of work that gives them a sense of purpose and a sense of meaning. And often my clients seem to want to help others. Yeah. So I've got a couple that are moving, that are kind of, you know, they've had really awful experiences with their, not necessarily with the actual divorce, but the kind of life before divorce, and they want to help others not to experience the kind of same thing. So perhaps want to move into some sort of coaching or psychotherapy even. I've got a couple of clients who are kind of moving into that kind of area. It does seem to be that divorce sort of moves your mindset to want to help people who kind of overcome adversity in a way. So I think you're absolutely right on that. I've definitely experienced a number of clients who are looking at that. Trying to think if I've had any.
Can I give
It's surprising actually how many divorce coaches I often think people that work in the divorce world have some relation to divorce themselves.
Absolutely.
So, for example, I'm the daughter of divorced parents, and so kind of seeing the consequences of it and things like that. And which is what makes me so passionate about what I do. But the amount of divorce coaches that I speak to, and they say, well, I went through my own divorce and I really wanted to then help others, is so, yeah, absolutely hit the nail on the head there, because I think it's it just like we always say, as part of the divorce team, it's you need lots of different areas of expertise, and a coach is a very one that's very often required, and can continue to do so and have a very prominent place post divorce as well, because it's really that kind of changing the mindset, transitioning into the new life. And it's not just, you know, right, divorce is over, papers are through, orders done, right, that's it. And it's not the way it works at all, is it? And it's really a case of transitioning into that new life phase.
Yeah, everyone doesn't suddenly disappear out of your divorce team just because you've got your decree absolute or your final order. We don't all leave you to crack on yourself and all disappear into the midst. Ceri, you were going to give us an example of a client who'd done something mega exciting.
It wasn't kind, it's mine, and it's not mega exciting. I wanted to just say, because sometimes we think when you think about retirement, it has to be mega exciting, you know, that you are going to do something world changing. And that's sometimes why clients struggle to picture retirement. So my own personal example is when I had my little boy, I took a year off maternity leave, and my mum gave up work and retired, and she had him afterwards. And I want to do that. That's my own personal retirement plan, is that I want to be in a place that when, or should my son have children, and should his partner want me to, I would like to stop and say, yeah, I'm having the grandchildren. So yeah, that's, and I think it's sometimes it's just the really simple things that that make your life, make your retirement something that you really look forward to.
Absolutely. How old's your son now?
10. So don't worry.
Okay, we've got a few years of you yet then. I'm just checking.
This is accident. I'm joking.
No immediate plans for retirement then. I'm thinking I've not got a huge number of clients who in retirement have kind of had great plans to change the world, but I know that, you know, a couple of clients have wanted to go and live abroad, and actually in one case they wanted to go back to Ireland, which was where her dad's family were from, and she gave it a go for a few months, and just to kind of test the water before she kind of went all in. You know, it was like, oh well, I'll go and rent for 6 months, see if it's where I want to be, see if I like the lifestyle out there, kind of test it, keep my house over here. I think she rented it out, so you know it was bringing in the income to pay for the property in Ireland. And she did, you know, she has gone and moved over there. Similarly, because of that experience, I kind of passed that on to another client who wanted to move to Italy. And we talked to them about, you know, maybe take some time over there, maybe go and, you know, have a few months over there and see what you think. They went over, did a similar toe in the water situation, and went, absolutely no way, I definitely don't want to go. They were like, I really love doing the pub quiz, and I can't have that in Italy, and it's really important to me, and actually I'm quite happy just going for holidays. It's like, hey, okay. So I do think like it is an evolving piece, like you've both talked about, you know, it's not something where you go, this is what I'm going to do after my divorce, this is what I'm going to do in retirement. It's constantly evolving, it's constantly growing, and the plans that we put together for our clients can flex with it. That's the massive benefit of them. We know that when we put them together on day one, that is not what your life's going to look like. But
that's probably the one thing we could guarantee, isn't it? I can guarantee this isn't exactly how it's going to play out, because there will be things that change, but it's our best guess, and then we evolve them.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, there are things that will happen that we can't possibly, you know, when are you going to inherit? Don't know. It's that lack of crystal ball again, isn't it, Lottie? We could do with that crystal ball.
100%. And I think nothing is set in stone, and we, as you have both said, we have that kind of flex and to be able to help the clients. But just coming back to retirement, I think often it's the very simple things as well that people that aren't financial at all, but somebody might want to just to spend more time in the garden, and or you know, and often if somebody says they want to spend more time in the garden, well, actually, have they got a garden that they're going to be happy with in retirement? And then it all comes back to the financial planning, but it's just yeah, I think it's often the very, very simple things. And like Ceri said, you know, spending more time with grandchildren, like that is, you know, and having the flexibility to do that. It doesn't all have to be the kind of big grand plans. But I suppose it's with a sense check for clients to see whether it's possible, or if it is possible, how to go about it. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's right. I think the important thing to remember from all of this, I think, is that the money is the tool that enables you to do the other stuff. So it's not about, we're not making the plans for you. They're your plans. We just need to tease them out of you. But we can help you make sure that the money's in the right place for you to spend on plants in your garden, or a new house with the garden that's south facing, or whatever is best for your plants. You know, it's those sorts of things, and it's thinking about what's really important, and then, okay, how can we help you to make sure the money is available at the right time when you need it? I think one of the simplest things that one of my clients said was, do you know what? I just want to be able to go out for a coffee with friends when I'm retired, whenever I want. I don't want it to be a biggie. Don't want it to be something that's like, I'm going to have to make massive changes in order to do. And, you know, that sounds relatively straightforward, but that's about making sure that the money's there and available for those little treats, even if they're not, you know, globetrotting or first class to Australia.
I think one of the other really key things that we do that I think is really important to mention here, alongside the coaching, the financial planning, getting that side of things right, is we are also always that technical person to call on when there is financial advice needed, but particularly in current markets, we're that reassuring person to actually say, okay, this is what's going on, this is what we're expecting, this is how markets work, and just be that person to reassure them when things aren't looking as rosy, so that they still don't have the fear around their money, that they can turn the news on, read the papers, and actually go, yeah, I know they've fallen and it doesn't concern me.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good point. We are very sadly coming to the end of our time together. Oh, we must do this again. Lottie, anything to add to what we've said today before we wrap up?
Putting me on the spot there. I'm hoping I'm going to come with some grand thing to say in the next 3 seconds, but I'm not. But all I will say is, whatever you do post divorce, just make sure that you're thinking about you as number one and what you want for the rest of your life. And if you are struggling, reach out for help. And there are many, many people, whether it be coaching to help you establish what you want, or whether you're struggling from a financial point of view and need to find where to put that pension credit, or whether it be, you know, structuring the settlement to provide you with an income, whatever the case may be, reach out for the areas that you feel like you're lacking in. And by doing that, it'll be empowering in itself, because actually by seeing that there is an area that you don't maybe have the full knowledge of, that's the biggest step, and noticing that and reaching out for help is the best thing that you can do.
See, you said you weren't going to say anything amazingly brilliant. That was amazingly brilliant.
I actually surprised myself there.
Fantastic. Ceri, anything to add before we wrap up?
Just lots of luck to the people going through this and coming out the other side, and we're all here. Reach out and we'd be more than happy to support.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a brilliant note to finish on. Ceri, Lottie and myself's details will be in the show notes. If you do want to reach out to any of us, if you do need any help, either during your divorce with planning your finances or post-divorce, please do get in touch with one of us. We would be delighted to help you. It just remains for me to say thank you to Ceri and to Lottie for joining me today. As always, it's been fantastic to speak to you both.
Thank you, Tamsin.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.